of federal money each year. Those taking up the issue, though, say they shouldn't receive a dime. Neil?
All right, it is, as you said, like a very contentious issue. I just want to bring you up to date on the musings of Mitch McConnell on this same subject, whether that fight over Planned Parenthood and whether to fund that organization is worth or risking shutting down the United States government. McConnell has regularly cautioned against using this as an anvil threat, saying that there is no education, quoting here, in the second kick of a mule. I think I get what he's saying, that you end up looking like an ass. That's just me doing that on-the-fly analysis you can only get on FBN. Let's take a look at how any of this is weighing on the corner of Wall and Broad. Stocks are up on the day, but I can tell you if there looks like there might be a shutdown and this really gets worse, those plus signs could quickly reverse themselves. To Gina Loudon, we got Cathy Lynn Taylor and Mark Serrano here on what this means if we get to that. Gina, your worry is that Republicans worry too much about process, that there's such a thing as fighting the good fight for the good cause. Is shutting down Planned Parenthood worth that good cause and shutting down a government to force the issue?
Unequivocally, Neil, this absolutely must happen if the GOP wants to be taken seriously. And this is the thing. They have a very fascinating trump card that they've never had before. You know, they could parade Donald Trump out there to take this issue, to be courageous on it, because we know this polls well with all voters, this Planned Parenthood issue. This is not even a pro-life, pro-choice issue. This is a selling baby parts issue. We are here in San Diego having a rally about this even here tonight. So this is all over the world, even in California, which a lot of people don't think is so conservative. And this is the other thing, Neil. The only people that get all upset about these government shutdowns is newscasters in New York City, apologies withstanding there, Neil, and the bureaucrats on Capitol Hill. Middle America and real people out here, they don't get that upset about a government shutdown.
Well,
they see it as the Republicans' leverage.
They get upset if there's some of the things they took for granted stop happening. They get upset if tourist sites, federal tourist sites or camps or parks are shut down. But I understand what you're saying. But Cathy Lynn, is it worth the fight?
You know, here's the challenge. There are great costs economically, and there are great costs politically. There's no doubt that Planned Parenthood should be shut down. It needs to be defunded and shut down. However, you know, Democrats really raked Republicans over the coals with the last shutdown. Cost of $24 billion.
I don't think that was fair to the point I was raising with Gina. But Mark, one of the things that comes up is that people forget your cause. They just remember what you did in fighting for it, right?
That's true, but if you take a look at what happened in 2013, a year later, Republicans took over Congress. So let's take a look at the risk.
So for you, it would be worth the fight.
That would be worth the fight, absolutely. It's not only that, we have to wage the fight. Take a look at this, Neil. Look at the context we're operating in. 7 years of this Obama economy. The truck driver in Texas, the caterer in Cleveland, they don't care about the outcome of the fight. They want to see someone who's going to take on the fight for them regardless of the outcome.
Yes, but Mark, you make a great point, but here's the challenge, right? The average person, let's say, who is a cancer patient and is getting funds for their treatment through NIH, and all of a sudden those funds stop because of a government shutdown, isn't going to be that happy.
But in other words, you find abhorrent all this stuff that came out on Planned Parenthood.
It's absolutely criminal.
But there's got to be a better way. Crucible by which to defund the government.
Well, here's the problem: defunding Planned Parenthood doesn't do anything. Most of the federal funding that Planned Parenthood gets is coming actually through Medicaid, not through Title X.
Well, I don't want to get lost in the weeds, but Gina, my take from all of this is this: that for the second day running, you have a lot of protesting conservatives protesting very good causes. This irradiant thing was one. This thing today on Planned Parenthood is another. But they're actually going after the wrong guys. The guys they should be going after is the leadership that brought us to this point, stumbled to this point, and again is disappointing folks. I mean, that reminds them of the failure of taking advantage of majorities that should not have seen either of these become the soap operas they become, right?
That's a great point, Neil. And I think there's one thing worse than any bad rap that the GOP could actually get for having a spinal cord, and that's not having a spinal cord. And as was pointed out, you know, they won the election after the last one. Let's not forget, it might not feel good in the process, but this Congress has got to take a stand, Neil.
Well, you know, Mark, I'll leave it at final though with it. My view of the way the Republicans are viewing this, we don't want to screw this up. They're playing it safe. Maybe they're running out the clock, if you can do that, well more than a year before the election, hoping that they don't do anything that divides or hurts their chances. But you're saying this kind of behavior does just that, right?
Well, it fuels the perception about the political class in Washington. 50 to 65% in current polling of Republican candidates are outsiders. And there's a good reason for that. People are sick and tired of this nonsense, and they want the Republican leaders in Congress to take a stand on something. Show some fight, for Pete's sakes, at all. Instead, they unilaterally disarm. They say, well, we're not going to ever seek impeachment. We're not going to ever seek a budget shutdown because that wouldn't be good for the economy. That's the Democrats' talking points. It's foolish, and they ought to make a stand now.
But you know what, Neil? We can get a lot more done sitting in the White House than we can as a candidate. And let's keep that in mind as we do this.
And you do that by speaking to the people who are dissatisfied with 7 years of this Obama economy and realizing they want an outsider. They are tired of the political class. And we're going to see this in the next 3 weeks while they're arguing about the budget. We're going to be hearing the political class talking about the details.
Stranger things have happened. I want to thank you all. Gina, I forgive you for the newscaster's comment. It was a cheap shot. I generally don't think you go that way, but that's fine.
Yeah.
We love you to death here. Thank you all. Now, in the meantime, you have this whole dust up. That was the big story.